All right, we are recording and ready to go. So Andrew today came down and said, we have a call tonight. Do you guys know, or he said, do you know what you want to talk about tonight? And um, we just kind of, for those of you who know me really well, I just like make crap up on the fly. So that's kind of my style. There is something though that I wanted to talk about tonight, based off of something actually that happened over the weekend, and I think it's something that's worth talking about. And so we want to turn tonight into kind of a discussion. So if you guys have questions or comments along the way, please feel free to jump in, because we would love to be able to answer your any questions that you might have or hear your thoughts on the topic that we're going to be covering tonight. So let me first tell you what happened over the weekend. I got a text message. No, I didn't. I sent somebody a text message that is on our team. She's one of the premiers that makes us Blue Diamond. And I've noticed she's been kind of quiet for a couple of months. And so I reached out to her. And so this gal, has been to convention several years in a row. She actually hit silver once and made it to leadership retreat. She has worked her business really, really hard, doing booths and one-to-ones and just doing what she can. She quit her full-time job to do doTERRA. And she was overcoming cancer. Like, she's had a battle. It's been kind of an uphill battle for her. And so I sent her a text over the weekend, just asked how she was doing, and she basically told me that she's done with doTERRA. Her website's being shut down next month, and that it's just been too much for her. One of the things that was contributing to that was that she felt like she had expended more expenses on materials and websites and such than she was able to make. So I wanted to talk, and also she's just kind of in burnout. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the reality of what this business really is, right? We talk about all of the residual income and the freedoms and all of the things that we get to enjoy and the great relationships we can create. And I think that people probably don't talk about that flip side of it, that can happen. And I'm not saying that it will happen for everyone. And that's actually what I want to talk about tonight, is doing what we can to try and avoid that. So in this particular instance with this gal, she had to have the latest website. I think she redid her website 2 or 3 times. And she wanted to have all of the latest brochures from every presidential diamond, blue diamond, diamond leader that people put out, because there has to be some like perfect formula, right? Like, one of them had to have hit the nail on the head. And so she got whatever she could from them, just lots of materials and lots of things that I didn't necessarily feel like she needed, but she felt like she needed. And so she spent a lot of energy on gathering things and not a lot of energy on the income producing activities. And while she was able to get herself to silver at one point, like I mentioned, it wasn't sustainable. And she kind of wafts between elite and premier. So the first thing that I think is really valuable to mention, and this is when Andrew and I were having this dialogue about, all the money that she had spent in contrast to the money that she had made. He said, but was she doing the income producing activities? And, not consistently enough, I don't think. I mean, she would do booths over the summer months and she had really good success from them. But the rest of the year, there wasn't a whole lot of action or activity that was taking place that was creating that income. And so one of my biggest things and recommendations for everyone on our team is that you don't expend more than you're making, because you don't have to. This business isn't something that you have to spend a bunch of money in order to be successful. And it's one of the reasons why I love this business.
Well, one of the things was just something to take note of is that during the summer months, she was doing those booths and she was doing the income producing activities. But then in the winter, when there weren't a lot of booths for her to be a part of and to join in with, the way that she felt like she was keeping herself busy and being productive was buying all of those different flyers and reading that information. And really what it was ending up being was that she was preparing for like 9 months of the year and expending a lot of money preparing and getting all this stuff, but then only having 3 months where she was actually seeing any kind of return. And those months were even expensive themselves just because of the cost of setting up booths as well. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't an equal balance between preparing time and the amount of time that she put out for those income producing activities.
Yeah. So this goes back to like our very first call that we did when we started doing our Monday calls, which was about consistency, right? It was about holding your regular classes or one-to-ones and doing it year round. That this has to be something that you're doing consistently so that you can see that return, instead of, like Andrew was saying, doing income producing activities for 3 months of the year and then preparing for those 3 months, the rest of the 9 months. Because if you're doing that, definitely you're not going to have a balanced financial aspect. Also, noting all of the things that the other presidential diamond, blue diamonds put out. Was it magical for them? Obviously. That's why they're like putting it out, right? They created something that worked and they want to share it with other people. Does that mean it's going to work for you? No, it doesn't. And that was one of the things when Andrew and I started doing everything online, and people kept coming to us saying that that's how they wanted to grow their business. The thing that you don't see a lot of times behind all of that is, for us in particular, with us doing everything online, was that we had already over 7 years of experience with web development and with doing things online and having clients that were spread across the country and creating those relationships virtually. So it was already something that was in our tool bag, if you will, and something that we already understood. We understood how it worked, and so that's why it worked. And I think that a lot of times when these other high leaders produce brochures or handouts or whatever, it's their brainchild. It makes sense in their brain, and that's why they're successful at it, because it's the thing that they feel like they can produce and that has worked for them. And so it doesn't mean it won't work for you, but I want you to understand that not everything that everybody produces is going to work for you. And the most important thing is just to do the basics. Like, this isn't about making things complicated. This is about making sure that you're doing those income producing activities, the teaching the classes and sampling and enrolling people. I mean, those are really the things that are going to make you the income. And refining your online presence and all of that kind of stuff. People, to like be realistic about even what online is. So people who go out there and they put out a website and they put a bunch of time and energy into it, there's such a back end thing that you have to understand with search engine optimization and consistency and algorithms. And like the online environment it's a science. Like, it's its own environment. And if you don't understand what that is and what it takes to create it, you're literally wasting your time. So I just want to make sure that everybody, whatever it is that you're expending your effort on and that you're putting your time and energy into, is going to be something that isn't going to overbalance your things that are producing you an income, and then the things that you're expending your income on, right? I would say don't ever spend necessarily more than you're making. In the beginning, do you need a couple of things to get started? Yeah, like a class handout and your oils. That's what you need to get started. As when we were getting started, we always used our fast starts to grow our business. So every dime that we made in fast starts, it went right back into our business, whether it was in promotions, sampling materials, class materials, whatever that looked like. Mostly we spent, I would say, the majority of our fast starts back in books to give to our people from enrolling, so that they were empowered, they had information at their fingertips and they were able to be successful. So when we would enroll somebody and get fast starts from them, we would spend that money on a book to give back to them. And that only helped our business grow because then they saw the value in getting on the LRP and getting additional products. So there is that aspect of it that I want to make sure that everybody understands and is clear on up front, is to not obviously expend more money than you're making. You don't have to. And if you are, especially if it's astronomically different, then you're going about it all wrong. The other aspect of this thing that came up is just the burnout aspect of it. I know for me that when we hit diamond, I was at burnout. By the time we hit blue diamond, I was completely done. Like it was so bad. I would get up in the morning, I would get myself ready, and I would have to go back to bed to take a nap. Like my body was quitting on me. And that was because I hadn't taken care of myself in the 2 years that it took for us to get to blue diamond. And so a couple of years ago, we were at leadership in Orlando, Florida. We had our team all there, all of our leaders that had qualified that year that were there. We were all sitting down for dinner. And one of the things that I shared with them, and what I want to share with you guys tonight, is that if you look at this business and you think about it being part of your lifestyle and that it's something that you do for life, like that there isn't necessarily an exit strategy out of doTERRA, right? Like you don't sell your business at some point. It's just something that you continue to do for your lifetime. And if you look at it from that reference point, I feel like it takes off the edge of the rush and that new like hype term, hustle. Like you gotta hustle, you gotta push, that's what creates the burnout. And for me, when I was getting started, it was doTERRA 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. I did always take Sundays off, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for me to be able to keep on top of things. And that's why, in large part, we went traveling as a family, was because I had hit burnout and I needed a break. And I still wanted a way to have that relationship with our team members and to be able to connect with them. But I needed it to look different than the way that I had been doing it up to that point. Since then, there's that juggling act of just trying to find the balance in the output of your time and that reserved space. So I think one of the biggest things for me, and this is where I would love, especially those of you who have been in this for a while with me, I would love your input on this. For me, one of the things that I have found that has helped me stay out of burnout is that I have created really strong boundaries in my time. And I don't mentor a ton of people. I only mentor the people who are working and that are growing their business, and create expectations for what that looks like. Because in the past, I've mentored like anybody and everybody, even people that were doing zero income producing activities. I mentored them for a year and never saw results. And it's just emotionally, mentally, physically exhausting to mentor people like that who just drain your energy. That, I think, for me has been the biggest thing, is that I have learned how to create boundaries, and I've gotten really good at saying no. So Julie, as I would especially love for you to jump in and talk, because you've been doing this for a really long time as well, and you've done Diamond Club several times, and I know that Diamond Club can also create burnout. I would love your 2 cents on what it is that you do to help you not experience that burnout, especially when you feel like you're going and going and going and you're not really seeing a return.
There was so much good stuff in what you just said. There was so much good stuff. From the don't spend all of your money that you make and don't spend more, to don't waste your time. Like there was, I'm like, I almost couldn't write fast enough. I'm like, this is not working. But yeah, Yeah. So when I started doTERRA, I owned a store. And so I was already working 7 days a week. I'm definitely a self-proclaimed workaholic, and I love to work. But yeah, the burnout. One of the ways that, as you can see, I'm in my pajamas. Okay, this is actually one of the ways that I can like stop the burnout is by knowing what my limits are and being really in tune to my what I need and what causes me stress and where my triggers are. And I think that we can all get a little bit more tuned in to those things that cause stress. Like I literally, it was kind of ironic that you actually asked me to kind of address this, because I did have kind of a heavy schedule today, but I've had 3 or 4 things that have really kind of caused me a lot of stress. And I usually deal with it really good, but I have autoimmune issues and I get flares, and I'm getting really good at identifying what causes me stress. And so I changed my schedule today. And instead I stayed home and removed wallpaper. And granted that the fact that I'm removing wallpaper was a little bit stressful, but it was very calming and nice. So I did a couple calls, but I think for the most part, people need to just be really in tune to the stress factors so that they can continue to move on. But one of the things that I've done is I have never stopped. Like a lot of times people are like, oh, I took, it was Christmas, or it was my mom's birthday, or I ate chocolate cake, or I stubbed my toe 3 weeks ago, or whatever the story is they tell themselves, they take time off. And I think that if you're going to take time off, you have to just know going into it, it's going to be harder to get back in. I don't ever take time off in large chunks. And even when I'm on vacation, I'm always prepared. Like I'm always looking for, was there someone who I could share oils with? Was there someone who I could offer the business to? So for me, it's a lifestyle. It'll be, in November, it'll be 6 years. And I can honestly say that for the last 2 years, I've only enrolled people that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like every once in a while, it might be someone who I met like 4 years ago at a vendor event that we ran into each other again or something like that. But it's a constant. It's like I'm always doing something.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that Christy actually said to me, that any of my team members that are actually on this call will be like, oh, that's where that came from. I totally remember being at leadership and you saying, your time is your most valuable resource. And if you decide for yourself you want to waste your time, that's totally okay. Like you can do that because it's your time, but don't let other people waste your time. And so that's actually something that I've shared with my team members when they're, trying to like turn a 2 into an ace. Or something along that line. So yeah, totally. That just kind of hit. You had so much good stuff. So if you guys didn't take notes, you should definitely watch the replay of this one.
Oh, that was fantastic, Julie. I loved, my favorite thing that you said out of all of that is know your limits. Because I think that a lot of time people don't know their limits and they say yes to the death. And then they're so like, years ago, I like had this epiphany that like, we say yes to all of these people and then we end up resenting everyone in our life because we don't feel like we own our time, just like you were talking about, that we end up resenting and being angry because other people own our time and that we're letting them have an impact on us rather than us choosing the things that we let into our lives. And I think that is so important. Even when we moved here to back to Utah, I had a gal that we go to church with reach out to me, and there was a women's meeting that at church, and she had asked me if I was going, and I just said, I've got a really busy week and it's just not something that I feel like I can do. And she made some other comment and I was like, I appreciate the invitation, but I know my limitations. I'm really good at creating boundaries and I'm really good at saying no. If there's something that I'm just like, you know what, while that's worthwhile, it's just not at the top of my scale. I generally will go off of a good, better, best mentality. There are a lot of really great things in the world. Really, really good, better. What I really want to spend my time on, though, is the best things. And that's what I'm encouraging you guys to do in your life and your business as well, is to get really clear on what it is that you want to spend your time on, the things that fill you up personally, and that also in this business help to create it to be the thing that you want it to be, so that you're not feeling like you're just spinning your wheels month after month, or possibly even year after year. So Julie, thank you for all of that wisdom. That was really, really great. I appreciate you sharing it. And it's always funny to have people say, quote things that you've said to them years ago. It's always kind of surreal. Heather, can I pull you in for a minute? Are you okay with that? She's like, no, I'm not okay with this at all.
Yeah.
So Heather has been with me. I enrolled Heather, it was in 2012, wasn't it?
Yeah, November.
Yeah. So right after we got started, the month I hit silver, Heather was some of my silver volume. So she has been with me for a really, really long time. And Heather, what I would love for you to share with everybody is how and why you keep going after all this time.
I, love the products. It changed like my family. It changed, my life basically. So the love of the product, I suppose, is the first thing. And I don't know. For me, myself, I'm still, just at Premier at this point, and it's, I see, the big dreams and goals and things like that, but then, with my big family and, helping my husband with his business and things like that, like I just kind of have to set realistic goals for myself and like, no, most months I'm going to pay for my product. And I just have those realistic goals. And so I'm not going to, I'm not going to overextend myself and, get burnout and do too much. So.
Yes. So just so everybody understands, Heather's husband is a corn farmer in Iowa, and she is the mom of 6 kids. And she is seriously Wonder Woman, in my opinion. She is absolutely amazing. And I love what you shared, Heather, that you've really just set realistic goals along the way, and that it hasn't been necessarily about reaching the highest rank as fast as possible at the expense of everything else in your life, that it's been about maintaining. And sometimes it just is about getting your order paid for. And I think that that's a worthy goal. I really do. And that's what I want everybody to understand, is that you can create this business to be whatever you need it or want it to be in your own life. It doesn't have to look like what everybody else's looks like. And that because some people go for ranks doesn't mean you have to go for ranks. And that that you get to do it your way, and that's okay. And for me, would I love to see Heather be silver and gold, and and will she get there eventually? Absolutely. But what I love more is Heather's example in sticking with it and putting her family first, and being that example of, and this is also something I was talking to Andrew about today, is a lot of people get into Terra and they think that they're in a sprint, but we're not. We're in a marathon, and it's about pacing yourself. So I love that example that Heather gives to her upline and her downline in choosing your priorities and going for the distance rather than for that short-term sprint. So thank you, Heather. I know you hate that kind of stuff, but I appreciate you talking. I know that Monica could share some stuff too. She's muted and not on video. So Monica, if you want to share, I would love you to answer the same question that I asked to Heather, if you're open to sharing your thoughts. I don't know if she is. You there? Monica? I can see you unmuted yourself, but I can't hear you. Okay. Maybe she'll get through in a minute. Those are really the main points that I wanted to share tonight. And I know this is way shorter than we usually go. I just wanted to talk about, it's okay, Monica. So the reason why I wanted Monica to come on is because she's been with me for a really long time as well. I enrolled her similar to the time that I enrolled Heather, and she's been working her business for a really long time, having babies along the way. And most of her leaders are outside of her small community. They are in Southern Utah and in Vegas, and she is in Idaho. So she's got a lot of wisdom and experience too, but she is not working for some reason. So Andrew, was there anything that you wanted to pitch in on in what you've seen or experienced in our journey that you feel would be valuable to share? Or
No, I think that you've covered just about everything, and I had a few thoughts, and then you covered those too. So.
Okay, awesome. Angie, yes, please. Anybody that has any questions or comments or thoughts, please speak up.
So I loved how you talked about not spending yourself out of business. One thing that I have found in the beginning, I think just like you said, you do need to spend a little bit more because you're getting started, because you're trying to get the tools and the samples, or taking care of your customers and all those things. But what I have found is that it always helps me at tax time when I am able to put my business expenses in, and it always gives me a bigger refund.
Yeah.
So that has always been helpful to me, and hopefully it can be helpful to someone else.
Thank you for sharing that. This is actually a really appropriate time in the season to share that. Also, just on the topic of what we're discussing is making sure that you are keeping track of your expenses for your business, so that it is something that you're writing off, and your mileage too. If you're going to teach classes and that kind of stuff, keep track of your mileage, because those are things that you can write off as well. Okay.
Even delivering samples, or working with customers, whatever the case may be. But yes, you can write all of that off, and it will help at tax time. And I really appreciate all of Julie's and Heather's comments and expertise. It really gives me hope, because I feel like I'm kind of like Heather, where I've got like a crazy schedule, and while I don't have as many kids, it's still a challenge. But it gives me hope knowing that there's somebody else out there going through the same thing that I am, and it's okay to work your business how and when you can, but as long as you're in it for the long haul. And that's where I feel like I am. It's like, I know I'm in it for the long haul. It's just a matter of I'm not able to give as much as I want to right now, but I know it'll come.
Yes.
As long as I stick with it, as long as I don't quit, it'll come.
Yes. Yeah, I agree 100% with that. And my thing is that I would rather people go slow and consistent than like fast and furious and burn themselves out. Truly, I would love to see it. I'm sure that a lot of you have probably seen that image where there's the guy on the top and the guy on the bottom, and he's with a pickaxe, and he's like trying to pick a tunnel to diamonds, and he stops right before he gets there. And I think that so many people furiously start picking, and then they like totally burn out, and that they're not able to actually get to the destination because they're not being realistic. And I love that that's what Heather talked about, was just being realistic with your life circumstances and what it is that you can actually put into your business. The biggest thing is that you do just have to be consistent in it, whether that's you you doing a class a week, or that you always have to set those goals of education and talking to people. Otherwise, there are no income producing activities happening. And you can say that, you're watching your back office or you're preparing to prepare, but really at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to keep you going is having those small successes and those small wins, and being able to see other people's lives change and seeing that you are making a difference and that you are making an income, because nobody wants to spend time and energy preparing to prepare and then make no money and change no lives, because that is a surefire way to quit.
Yes.
You're not going to see anything from it.
And the tortoise always wins. Truly.
That's because at one point that hare just lays down because he can't run anymore. And burnout is very, very common for people who have hit diamond and above. So what I want is for everybody to not push themselves faster than they can go, and to just be realistic about what it is you can create in your life. Now, am I talking about you just like giving yourself an excuse and a way out? No, I'm not. I'm not talking about that either. I'm just talking about being realistic. So, okay, that was all I had to share tonight. So if you guys have questions about, you don't have to talk about this even. We can do a Q&A, or if you guys don't have questions, then we can cut it early for the night.
Christy, there's a really good book. It's by Brennan Burchard. Is it what's the name of it? Successful Habits, High Performer.
Julie?
What's it called? Habits of High Performance Habits.
Yep. There you go.
Got it?
I'm like yellow.
Yeah, there's like yellow. You can get it for free off Facebook because he gives his books away. But I read that this past summer, and one thing that I took away from that was when you know your strengths. Okay, so my top strength is achiever, and so it's like I get so excited when my to-do list is done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good thing. But I call it my reptilian brain, because that's where I naturally go to in my business is go, go, go. Everything Christy just said. And so realizing how my strengths can go to unhealthy places, and knowing where to set those boundaries. Again, another thing that I'm learning from Christy. So I literally in the middle of the day take a 45-minute break and watch a mindless TV show to stop myself, which is not something I think everybody should probably do. But I've learned that when I don't pause during the day, I burn out. And that book, the point was that book is really, really good.
Awesome. Thank you for the recommendation, Lori. And I will tell you, and I think Andrew was kind of chuckling as well, my number one is achiever as well. And I also have to just stop and watch something it's not totally mindless. I am learning Chinese at the same time because I'm watching Chinese shows. But yeah, it's just I just need to check out for a little bit and do something that isn't. Julie's totally laughing. What?
You just said, did anyone else find this funny? She's like, I'm totally checking out. But
learning Chinese.
I'm learning Chinese.
Well, okay. It's just a fun thing. Dude, I do.
I need to take a break and relax. So, excuse me, I'm going to go learn some Chinese.
Andrew, it works for me, doesn't it? It does.
I love it. That was just funny.
Okay, maybe I'm weird. I don't know.
Time is I'll watch something really mindless and stupid like Naked and Afraid, or Gold Rush pulling gold out of the bottom of the sea or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to have to try that. I think when I need to take a break, I'm going to go get some Rosetta Stone Chinese training videos. I just love everything about that. That was so cute.
Oh, okay. So anyways, I agree. I just thought it was funny that Lori had said that her number one was achiever and she needed to just kind of check out and do nothing. Ben, were you going to unmute yourself? You were leaning forward like you were going to. No? Okay. Is there anybody else that had a question or comment that they wanted to throw in tonight?
I got my first 1099 from doTERRA. Yay!
Oh, that's so exciting.
I've only been in for a year and a half, so that was like an awesome thing for me.
Yeah, that means you made more than $600 last year. Well done.
Yeah, it was like almost twice that. I was like, yes, I'm doing this.
So good. That's good. Hey, that gets your oils paid for.
Yep.
Very cool. I remember when we got our first 1099 and we got ours this year and I about died again. I just still am blown away by what doTERRA can create in your life. So yeah, it's an amazing opportunity. Okay. Nobody else? Thoughts, comments, questions? Okay. If there's not, then we're going to cut you loose early tonight. And is there anything for next week that you guys would like us to touch on?
The share guide?
Okay,
Sounds good.
we can do that. Maybe we'll go through the sales guide too, since it's kind of newer. All right. Thanks everybody for getting on tonight. Hope you guys have an awesome February. You guys all saw the promotions, right? Like, whoa. I got in and started putting my order in and I'm like, whoa, we get lots of free On Guard products this month. That's awesome. 200 PV order is going to get you a lot of free doTERRA products. Even 100 PV order is going to get you a free On Guard Touch. So, and the free product of the month is Ravensara. Is that how you say that? Ravensara? I don't know. It's in Breathe though. I'm really excited to get my hands on it. So yeah, they are running awesome promotions this month. I will give you guys a heads up. They are not doing BOGOs this month. So I love that they're doing this promotion with On Guard instead of the BOGOs. I found that BOGOs have kind of messed up our ebb and flow of what months usually create. So I think that they're trying to balance that back out again by not offering them as often. So, okay, go make it happen this month. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. We will talk to you later.